for like weeks at a time.
Okay.
And I was getting a lot of yeast infections and of that sort. And I went through a 90-day cleanse where I instantly I was already not eating meat, but I stopped eating dairy, seafood, anything. I just went strictly plant-based. And since I've done that, my week-long cramps have shrunk down to maybe a day, and I haven't had a yeast infection since I've done the cleanse in May of 2020.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Changing your diet, even though it may be hard initially, it can really, do you some good. And before fibroids, I lost over 70 pounds just switching to a changing my diet into a plant-based. So it works, and it's not something that's gonna happen overnight. It takes time. I'm still fighting fibroids. I still have them, but I'm not in pain like I used to be, and I haven't had a yeast infection. So that alone is a win for me to keep doing what I need to do. At this point, I'm just trying to find the right herbs and stuff to take to shrink them and get rid of them. I'm lucky I only have 4 small ones that I'm trying to get rid of. I've heard people had 50, so I just wanted to encourage people, like, don't let the food deter you, because it can change your life. And once you change your diet, it becomes a lifestyle. It's no longer just an inconvenience. It becomes natural once you change your diet, and it'll benefit you health-wise and help you eliminate your fibroids. So I just wanted to say that for anybody that, like you said, is feeling discouraged about what you have to eat to get to where you want to be.
I appreciate that. That's real. That's, a real testimonial. And it sounds like you're on your journey. So I definitely applaud that, and I give you support, and I'm holding space for you along the way. I want to let y'all know really quickly that I have opened up my live stream on YouTube. So I am doing a multicast at this time. I let people know in advance that I was going to be streaming. So I just wanted to let y'all know. Now, as Ashley, as far as you said, the right herb, I would love to talk to you if you're interested in a consultation or some type of an assistance with me in a session, because there are herbs that you could be utilizing. I don't know what you're doing, but there's probably a blend of herbs that you could use to help your body holistically, to balance multiple systems, the levels and across the systems in your body, and not just focusing on one particular herb. So if you're interested, let me know.
Yeah, that would be fine. Currently, I'm doing chastity berry and milk this.
Okay.
And then I do dandelion tea.
Yep.
So to kind of to balance my hormones, because it was giving me real bad acne, and that's been working. But I want to kind of add more or switch it up. So that would be something that I'd definitely be interested in reaching out to you.
Yeah, so my website is looking a lot more put together now. So you can go to operationfibroidfreedom.com and book the session there, or you can email me and we can set up the free 15-minute and talk about the different options and set something up there. And I can kind of talk to you personally, because it may also be other healing modalities that you can add in as far as lifestyle hacks, adding more positive habits based on your lifestyle that we can talk about to help you speed up your process.
Okay.
All right. So I have another hand raised. Let's see, Jojo. I'm bringing you to the stage. Did you have a question, Goddess?
Yes. Hello. And, first and foremost, thank you for providing this platform.
Of course.
So my question is, I was diagnosed with fibroids also. So I have 4 big ones. The biggest one is like 11 and a half centimeters. And the one after that is like 9.5, 7.5. And I think the smallest is like 4.5. So of course the doctors are pushing for surgery. And, my biggest thing is, aside from the surgery, I don't have children yet, and I know with the myomectomy, they're saying that's supposed to preserve your wound, but of course there's scar tissue. So I guess my question to you would be, with the women that you work with, what is the biggest fibroids that, I know everybody's bodies is different, but what's the biggest fibroids that you have helped them either completely dissolve or that shrunk to a manageable size?
So I'm not a big person I don't get attached to size, to be honest. So I can't give you a number. I'd have to actually go back and look through my records because I don't focus on the size. I just focus on whether I truly believe I can shrink fibroids or not. That's how I did it. I mean, my fibroid, or the fibroids that I had, the largest one was a large grapefruit. And the one that was causing all the bleeding was described as like as big as a Brazil nut in the vaginal canal. And actually the one that was on the uterus got big at one point, and it was so big that it was stopping me from being able to bend forward. And it didn't even dawn on me that it was the fibroid. I just woke up one morning and I was like, if I bend over, I could feel like my vertebrae were separating. So I didn't realize. I was just like, I can't bend forward. And about a week or so later, I had scheduled a doctor's appointment to go and figure out what was going on. And they were like, your muscle tissue looks amazing, but this is the problem. It was this big fibroid. It had grown within like 2 weeks. It was just this out of the nowhere. It was probably bigger because I had, probably fell off of the wagon and probably had some stuff, obviously, that I wasn't supposed to have. And that's when it dawned on me that it was the fibroid, and they recommended again that I go have the surgery. And I knew I was slacking at that time. And I just said, can I at least have 2 weeks? I'm going to try some other things and be more hardcore with my modalities, my juices, and that kind of thing. And 2 weeks later, I was back to bending forward and doing cartwheels. To answer your question, I don't look at it like that, but I do get that question a lot. And people ask me a lot, do you think this is too big to shrink, this size or whatever? And I don't approach it like that. I'm either all in or I'm not. So it's like the size doesn't deter me. It's whether I'm going to shrink the fibroids or not. I mean, it makes a difference, obviously, if the fibroid's the size of a grape as opposed to a grapefruit, but I never really got attached to size. So I don't have a concrete answer for you. I apologize in that way. But I did have a client that contacted me that was saying, her fibroids were this size. And we got her on some fasting protocols, as well as some of the modalities that I teach, as well as some juicing. And one had disappeared and the others had shrunk in size. So I mean, my methods definitely worked and gave her relief. She's still on her journey, but that's as best as I can answer that one for you. And mine, the one I had fell out, and it was still attached to one artery. So the one in the canal was obviously it had to be attached to multiple veins because it was, positioned in the vaginal canal. But by the time I realized that I was on the right track, because I never knew when it was going to happen. That's the other thing. I just knew I was never having the surgery because I knew that I could shrink them. I just knew I needed to be more hardcore with the natural lifestyle. So one day it fell into the vaginal canal, but it was still attached to one artery that had yet to dissolve. But that's kind of how I do my coaching. It's structured around getting the pillars of natural fibroid elimination, which are attacking estrogen dominance, fixing that naturally, detoxing your systems naturally, making sure you're regular naturally, as well as a whole host of other things. We get all those things in play. And then it's about consistency and rinsing and repeating, and then tweaking as well to keep the body on its toes. We may make some changes based on what organically develops in your system.
Okay, thank you so much. No, you definitely answered the question.
Yes.
Even by mentioning your size with the grapefruit. So that's very similar to mine. So thank you so much.
It is my pleasure. Thank you. I got another question here. I think I'm going to move you back. Okay, she moved herself back to the audience. I'm figuring it out, guys. Goddesses. Okay, I have T Green on the stage. Welcome. Did you have a question?
Yes. Recently, I found out that I have fibroids and polyps, and the doctor is more or less the polyps are non-cancerous, but they want to remove the polyps. So I'm interested in removing the fibroids and the polyps, but I juice.
Great.
And I was reading about apple cider vinegar. Is that helpful in shrinking them? Do I have to take them out? I don't know how big they are, but I don't want to wind up years from now having to have a hysterectomy.
Okay. Apple cider vinegar is wonderful. I would say it helps in shrinking them if you use it properly. You know, if you use it as a tool along with other tools like your juicing and other things like herbs and supplements that we could go in depth on. But really what you want to look at primarily is things like the apple cider vinegar are a supplement, but they all are going to work together to reinforce the power of eating and getting more plants in your body. The more you can eat, well, how do you eat right now?
I can eat more greens. I eat a lot of salads, but I can, do better with that.
And what types of juices are you making?
Carrot, beet, celery, spinach, green smoothies.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and this is kind of what we do in coaching. We personalize it. So carrots are cool. I don't mind carrots because carrots are better than a piece of chicken with hormones in it. So if you want carrots, I say have carrots, but carrots don't really have that much nutritional value. You know, they were a hybrid vegetable created for horses. So, you know, as far as you can have carrots all day. Sometimes I still have a carrot, but if I juice, I'm going for the most bang for my buck that I know is going to literally, in my mind, I really wanted laser removal for fibroids in the form of plants, herbs and supplements, and nutrition. So I went for what I knew was going to zap them things out of my womb. And that was cruciferous vegetables. That was stuff that probably people would turn their nose up, like, you about to juice broccoli for real? We juicing broccoli? But I would juice broccoli because I knew it was cruciferous vegetables, and that was going to help detox and support my liver, which is going to help to combat estrogen dominance. And then there's a whole other list of cruciferous vegetables. Now, you don't have to do them all together, because if you did, it's probably going to create a bigger gas bomb than the woman that I mentioned earlier on the live stream was talking about with my food. But you want to make it palatable for you, but just gently start to mix in your heavy hitters. So grab your romaine lettuce, which is a light lettuce. It does have nutritional value, more than like an iceberg. And then have a green Granny Smith apple to make it flavorful. Put in a couple of crowns of broccoli, or put in some watercress. That is cruciferous. You know what I mean? That's how you really optimize your habits to get rid of those fibroids. And then everything you're doing, everything we talk about in natural fibroid freedom coaching, in your lifestyle that you're going to be setting up, will be optimized to really punch those fibroids. And that's really how we do that. But did that answer your question? Sure.
So should I do, they want to do, I go actually next Friday to learn more, but some sort of process where they can zap the polyps with a laser. Okay. So I shouldn't worry about getting the fibroids out. Just do the juicing thing. And they were suggesting I go on the
Mirena?
The Mirena birth control.
Oh, birth control. I am not a proponent of anything synthetic, so I would never tell you that, but I'm also not a doctor, you know? And that's something that I think is a wonderful topic to go into for this room, because you know, knowing natural fibroid freedom, whether it's right for you, you have to take the initiative at some point and decide how much of the traditional Western medicine route you're going to go, and how much you're going to go in the direction of the natural, which is usually the natural journey is not as illuminated, right? When I had fibroids, there was nobody doing what I'm doing and what other goddesses that I've met who shrank fibroids naturally are doing. There was nobody around. So I had to decide internally with my own intuitive or internal compass if I really wanted to put my weight behind what the doctors were telling me, which I totally respect if that's what somebody does, because it's a daunting journey, you know. But I knew more so than what the doctor was telling me is that I wanted to control my fertility, you know, and I knew birth control threw my hormones off horribly. you know? So I knew that I didn't want any more synthetics. So that's something you have to get personal about with yourself. Now, polyps, again, I'm not a doctor. They want to remove them. Is that because they could be potentially cancerous?
They're not at this time. So
okay.
He said that he said that some people wait and see, which I don't want to, you know what I mean?
Sure. So, okay, that's why I asked you that, because I wanted to find out what the direction would be naturally for that. And that's something that you would have to talk to a natural practitioner like myself or somebody else and decide what a natural route would be for that and the fibroids, and then go that route with that and eat the plants and juice. Because if you did all that, to be honest, you'd probably get rid of all of them. I'm getting an echo, so I think I need to mute you while I'm talking. I think. There we go. So you have to make a decision, basically, is the answer, and decide if you're going to go with what the doctor's telling you and go that route, or if you're going to go the natural route. And that's not an easy decision, especially when it's involving making a decision on like a surgical procedure, however minor it's, described to be to you. That's something you have to decide. What you could do is take a small amount of time, maybe 2 or 3 months, and juice religiously. I don't know how often you juice right now. If you want to unmute and tell me that. Let me see. There you go.
I've been doing it. I just been doing it for about a week.
Okay, so that's good, but that's a good answer for your situation, because that's a short amount of time. Right. So when were they recommending that you have those polyps lasered or whatever they were going to do?
They've been well, I don't know, I guess as soon as possible, because I had anemia, severe anemia, so they sent me for all different kinds of tests, pelvic ultrasound.
Okay.
Embryonic biopsy, colonoscopy, endoscopy, just to see, and they found the fibroids in the polyps.
Okay. And how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
46.
Okay. Did you say you're trying to have children?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not sure. I mean,
yeah, no pressure. No pressure. So I hear you. What I recommend for you is to take time, but also know that your body and everything that is part of your world, it has to respond to you and to your command. If you are going to take that control and put your crown on and command it, and then you back that up and reinforce it with your actions. You can test it out by giving yourself a small increment of time. I would suggest a minimum of 2 weeks where you juice every day. I'm talking daily. And then there's other things you can do to crank up your natural fibroid and womb healing plan. We can talk about that in a coaching session. But even if you just took 2 weeks and juiced, I'm talking dark leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables, not necessarily a ton of fruits, but key fruits, like the green Granny Smith apples, or maybe some pineapple. But there's other things you can do, as well as some herbs and supplements. You probably would see a huge difference in the polyps and fibroids. There's specific types and combinations of juicing. Matter of fact, when I went to the doctor and I couldn't bend over, and they told me it's because the fibroid got big, 2 weeks later, I was doing cartwheels and bending over because I had put together and learned about a juicing protocol. In 2 weeks, it was back to normal. So there's stuff you can do in 2 weeks to really make some stuff happen, to prove to yourself whether you really have what it takes to go the 100% natural route. It's just, are you willing to give yourself that opportunity? Like, do you want to? Do you have the patience?
Yes. Yeah, so if I juice and stuff for a few weeks, I can't tell them, can I order another test?
What do you mean? Can you say that again?
I guess they found it more so from the pelvic ultrasound.
Oh, I see.
Can I say, hey?
I mean,
like, what?
It's all about you telling them, as the patient, they are there to really work for you. They're working on your behalf, but for you, and they kind of have to work around what you bring to them, so you can, it's up to you really. They have to kind of work around that. And if they don't, then I would say go and get a second opinion from somebody else, because I would definitely at least pair natural up with the traditional Western medicine. But I would try the 2 weeks.
Okay. Because I had to I had to get an iron infusion. Mm-hmm. It was that bad. An iron infusion and a blood transfusion. So they're kind of like, well, you know, to minimize the amount that you bleed, maybe do the Mirena.
Yeah, I hear you. I had a goddess who took my course. I have a course called the Fibroid Freedom Toolkit, and never met her. She took the course. She actually started maybe the first 5 or 6 modules, and she messaged me saying that she had eliminated a problem that she had spent $30,000 over the years going in and out of the hospital due to heavy bleeding and hemorrhaging by doing the stuff in those modules. So again, you can fix those things. It's about whether you have if you want to do it that way. If you have the patience and if you're open to that, you can fix them. So you let me know if you want to, you know, talk about that. We can do a free 15-minute and talk more about your, you know, full situation. And then I can let you know legitimately what type of a protocol we can kind of put together. And if that sounds like, you know, something that is the direction that you're interested in for like a 2-week period, we can, you know, book a session from there.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Go to operationfibroidfreedom.com, operationfibroidfreedom.com, or you can email me, fibroidfreedom@gmail.com. Thank you, Goddess.
Thank you.
It is my pleasure. All right. If anyone else has a question, feel free to raise your hand or something to contribute. I know I have some other practitioners here, some other of my goddess friends. Hey, Chelsea. So again, if anybody here is unfamiliar with a particular aspect of what it takes to shrink fibroids naturally, let me know. But I'm going to keep moving down my list of things to let you know if the natural fibroid elimination journey is right for you. So another question that you should ask yourself would have to do with the topic of exercise, believe it or not. So many of my goddesses don't want to exercise. And I get it. I get that it's hard to exercise when you're anemic. I remember, first of all, I grew up as an athlete throughout high school, junior high. I played basketball. That was my favorite sport. I also did volleyball, which I did love. I ran track. It wasn't my favorite, but I was always doing some sort of a sport. And I worked out pretty regularly as an adult as well. So I was shocked when I found out, you know, that I had something like uterine fibroids, because I also ate, you know, vegan off and on. But one thing I noticed when I had fibroids, because I would hike all the time, I would run a lot. There was times when I'd be down at Piedmont Park in Atlanta going up. It's not a very hilly place, but like small hills would take the wind out of me. So I definitely know the struggle of anemia. But there is something to be said for regular, consistent exercise. That's important, and it has to be part of what you're willing to do if you're serious about manifesting a fibroid-free womb, because the biggest organ is the skin, and we detox through the skin by sweating. And it's an easy way to support our body to detox out excess toxins. That's like one of the easiest ways. It's virtually free. It's just figuring out a way that is true and accessible to you where you may find yourself with fibroids, because I know it's not a game when you don't have a lot of energy or stamina. So a couple of suggestions for exercise would be, if you can't automatically bust out doing a run or, you know, some of the types of workouts I like to do, which is high intensity interval training, I would say do yoga. You know, start off with some gentle yoga, gentle stretching. Yoga is very sophisticated way to attack fibroids because It's it can be as gentle as you like it to be, but it can also be high intensity. You can do like a cardio form of yoga. I mean, it's pretty hard to hold my body up into downward facing dog and go into plank over and over again. But the unique thing about a yoga workout is that yoga postures, yoga asanas, they each have corresponding properties that detox different parts of the body. So that's why it's not really a good thing to assume because you have fibroids, because you might be anemic, that you can't be active. I like to always kind of let women know and motivate my coaching clients, like, don't let fibroids dictate how you are going to act. Don't let fibroids steal your activity and steal your vitality, right? If we want to get our health back into balance, regain control, and be fertile, we have to affirm that in our actions as much as we do with exercise and diet, as well as what we are allowing in our psyche, our mental as well. But exercise is one way to detox gently and naturally if you're doing something like yoga. But it also will detox if you have any in the non-physical parts of our body, like our spirit bodies, our etheric body, the aura, that will move out blockages by getting up and moving your temple on a regular basis. So I just want to put that out there because a lot of women forget exercise. And I totally understand that, because fibroids, when I had fibroids and the bleeding and all that, it was just like, I don't know how I'm going to get some exercise in, but a good way to start is doing a little bit of yoga. Chelsea, welcome. Welcome. I got two Chelseas here. So I got Chelsea Osademe and I have Chelsea Von Chaz. Welcome, goddess. If either of you would like to come up to the stage, or any other goddesses here in the room and contribute, feel free. Again, another way to know whether the natural fibroid freedom route is right for you is to know if you're going to do the work or not. Be real with yourself on if you're going to do everything that it takes. Because if not, you're going to be wasting your time. I get a lot of goddesses who don't want to cook. And I got to be honest, with the way the food supply is looking like it's heading in 2021, this is not the time to have an aversion to getting our hands in, getting our hands dirty, and, putting some elbow grease in the meals that we are eating day in and day out, because there's so many little changes and little tricky things that I see happening. One of the things, just incidentally, really quickly, that I'm going to talk about is the fake meats. A lot of people are misled into thinking that these burgers and these fake chicken, somebody had on Facebook last night, in one of the vegan groups I'm in, some fake chicken cutlets, unchicken. And they were like, Mom, it was for their daughter. And their caption was like, Mom wins. She didn't know it wasn't, real chicken. And I'm like, they don't even realize that it's full of like soy. And soy is like, if for women, especially young women, throwing off their hormones and feeding fibroids. And just because it's vegan does not mean it's good. So this is a good time to really be open to using our hands and making our own stuff. I make a pretty good vegan burger. I have a recipe that I need to post on YouTube, but it's not that hard. And when you eat it, you don't have any bad side effects. So I definitely am saying, I can't stress it enough. Get ready to start cooking a lot, because that's what I had to do. Somebody asked me what I ate to shrink fibroids. I ate a lot of stir fries, a lot of Brussels sprouts, broccoli, lots of quinoa, basil stir fry. Herbs are your friend too, by the way. Fresh herbs, to me, I'm into like, fragrances and that kind of thing. They really make and change and add like a lot of depth to a dish. So get really acquainted with herbs, spices, fresh, as well as like dry, to really like bump up the flavor profile in your natural dishes. But that's the kind of things that I ate. But I ate tons of smoothies, lots of juice. I still eat lots of juice. So if anybody has any questions, let me know. Chelsea, I'm going to go ahead and invite you to contribute.
Hi, Queen. How are you doing?
Goddess.
Thank you for letting me speak. I'm going to be really brief because I have some stuff I'm doing, so I'm really just here to listen. But I just wanted to say, so hi everybody that's in the room. I have fibroids. I was diagnosed with fibroids in 2017 or 16. I have been battling with it and trying to decide on like the natural route, surgery, just the fear of like, oh, I don't want them to grow, get out of control. 25, haven't had kids. And so me and Cecily, I've been following her for a few months now, I think. Maybe it might be a year in March. I'm not sure. And I had like a 15-minute consultation, and I have been trying to do the vegan thing for some time, and I would be vegan for like 3 days, and then I would just like eat meat, and then I'd be like, oh, I felt, so I gotta like, I might as well start back eating meat. And the 15-minute consultation says, it was like, you just have to take it a day at a time. Like, try to do 90% on this day, and then maybe after a couple of days, take it to like 90% for the whole week, and then eventually you just kind of find your way to it. And so, Cecily, I wanted you to know that I've been doing that, and I can definitely see a change in like how bloated I am, or like being able to lay on my stomach.
Wonderful.
I haven't incorporated the juicing just yet, but I'm on my way there. I've been trying to do smoothies and things of that sort. And I do plan on, I know we talked about like some Reiki sessions and things of that nature. I'm just saving up because the PhD life, I'm broke, but I'll be doing that soon. So I just wanted y'all to know that, that consultation helped me kind of like start to jumpstart my mindset so that I could make sure I was prepared for, when I actually am able to commit to purchasing the course and like going along the journey. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Chelsea. You're wonderful. I'm so glad you're here. I'm glad you applied the advice and are seeing great results. I really appreciate that. And you were in the challenge too. She's done a couple of my challenges as well. So we do a lot of stuff together. If anybody is interested, I'm also on Facebook. There's a free group. It's called Womb Hang Clan. And it's like a free bi-monthly challenge group. Chelsea's in that group as well. And every like 6 to 8 weeks, I'll put together a challenge, and it will have like a free participation level as well. So everybody has some form of an outlet or sisterhood and support to heal their wombs, like bi-monthly. So thank you, Chelsea. I'm ready when you are, Goddess. I'm going to.
Thank you so much. And you can bump me back down because I have nothing else to say.
Okay, thank you. So I do have another question here. I'm going to bring Brandy Chambers to the stage. Brandy, just go ahead and mute because I have a YouTube question I'm going to answer really quickly, and then I will come back to you. But I'm bringing you up. Okay. So I'm on YouTube as well. Okay, there you go. So go ahead and mute your mic for me, Brandy, briefly, and then I will call on you for your question. Thank you. So I'm on YouTube, and I have somebody, my goddess here. Her title is called "This Is My Face, I Am a Cadet." She asks, hello, how are you? I've been taking birth control to stop the bleeding. It would not stop. If there's another way, please let me know. There most definitely is another way. There are multiple ways. Says, my problem, Queen, is that I'm so very scared. I have a bleeding problem. I had 2 blood transfusions, and I'm 42. Wow. Well, I'm here holding space for you, Goddess. There's a lot of different ways to get rid of heavy bleeding. We just did a webinar called Eliminating Anemia, and it was amazing. I had an instant testimonial on some information that I gave on how to stop heavy bleeding in that webinar. If you're interested, definitely set up a consultation with me. I think we talked yesterday. You can go to my website now, operationfibroidfreedom.com. And you can book your session, and we'll go over everything you can do immediately to get immediate relief with the heavy bleeding. And my protocols to bring immediate relief to stop the heavy bleeding also help to fix fibroids, help to shrink and contribute to shrinking fibroids and healing your womb tissue in the long run. So definitely reach out to me if you're ready. And we can get that set up. But that's the website. And thank you for being here today on the YouTube. So Brandy, my goddess, what did you have that you wanted to know about or contribute? Brandy, are you there?
Hi, Cecily. How
Hi,
are you? I'm
goddess.
sorry if am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yeah, that's right.
Is it Cecily?
That's
okay.
it.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to have stumbled across this room. I appreciate everything that you're saying. I'm just really grateful because you're just giving a boatload of information. So I appreciate that.
My pleasure.
And so one of the things that I noticed that you're mentioning is the juicing.
Yes.
So my question is, do you prefer or do you recommend juicing over smoothies?
Not necessarily over. They both are tools that you use in your Fibroid Freedom Toolkit. So when I do challenges in my free Facebook group, we've done, Ask Chelsea, that was just on the stage, a week of smoothies, Fibroid Freedom, like optimized smoothies that are optimized to shrink fibroids. And then we do a week of juicing. I used both of those. And the reason why I love smoothies and the reason why I love juicing, I'll go into both. But smoothies are amazing because you can put a lot of supplements in the smoothie and get it all down in one meal that are going to mineralize and nourish your womb and your body, detox your liver, keep you regular, oxygenate your body and your cells. You can put dark leafy greens in there. You can add fruit and vegetables if you don't have an aversion to mixing fruits and veggies, because I know there's a new trend that everybody is, and rightfully so, hopping on where you don't mix fruits and veggies. But I mixed fruits and veggies all throughout having fibroids, and I got rid of fibroids naturally. So that's just my preference. That's where I'm at. But smoothies are great because you can pack a lot into a smoothie. And also, they are great for meal replacement. You won't be hungry, So a lot of my supplements are smoothie-friendly supplements. And then some of them are teas, and then some of them are, totally different. Now, juicing is also powerful and different in that juicing is fresh pressed juice that is bringing bioavailable vitamins and minerals and enzymes that are not going to be naturally available or released just by you chewing or masticating alone. So you want to juice because you're going to get a lot of stuff that you won't normally get just by eating. Juicing and certain types of juice are going to do immediate damage to fibroids in a good way. Like juicing, like dark leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables, and other types of juice are going to wear down at fibrous tissue. In 2 weeks, I went from not being able to bend over, and the fibroid was back to a small size, and I couldn't even tell that there was a fibroid there. So, you can do a lot of work in a short amount of time if you juice every day. And I was making sure I juiced morning and night over that 2-week period. So I think they're both powerful equally, and they're both necessary for how I got rid of fibroids. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. And I've gone ahead and I follow you on IG.
Yes, great.
So I definitely want to be able to connect with you outside of this. So that would be great.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yep. OperationFibroidFreedom.com is the website. You can join the mailing list. Instagram is great. I'm always on Instagram. You can set up a free 15-minute and we can talk about my services. But just keep juicing and eating as plant-based as possible. I don't know how you eat, but we didn't talk about that. Do you eat meat right now, Brandy?
I do, but I do eat a lot of plants. Pretty much like maybe 75% plant-based.
That's good.
I keep switching back and forth because, I'll be doing, the plant-based thing for a month, and then I'll, be missing meat. So I'll pick up fish and chicken again. And so I'm just kind of like back and forth. One thing I do find though with the plant-based diet is I struggle with my appetite. Like I'll do like
beans, and I feel like when I go plant-based, it's very carb heavy, and I really don't want to be carb heavy because I'm still trying to lose a few pounds and just kind of show a difference in that way. So I just kind of struggle between going back and forth and knowing what I should be taking.
I definitely understand that. For sure.
The other thing too is one thing I noticed, because I do follow a lot of fitness experts and things like that, and they go into macros and things of that nature, keto even. I was following the keto diet at one point, and the thing about keto is that it can be very dairy heavy and meat heavy, so that's not necessarily conducive to the fibroid. So I'm kind of having trouble with finding a diet that's specifically tailored to my needs.
Sure. Keto, if you're trying to shrink fibroids, I don't really think keto is the most relevant for what you're looking to do. What you really should be looking to do is oxygenate your body and get in as much raw plant vitamins and minerals. So plant-based, whole foods, a whole foods plant-based diet, I should say, is the better route for shrinking fibroids. Keto, I see friends that I've seen do keto and be successful with it. They were, using that to, lose a lot of weight in a short amount of time. If you eat and follow a proper whole foods plant-based diet, and also address the areas where you're not feeling satiated by making sure you're eating a lot of good plant-based proteins, hemp protein smoothies, getting your good fats in, your avocados, not necessarily filling up on the bad carbs like, white rice, wild rice would be a better option, or quinoa, that kind of thing. But those good fats and also whole food supplements in your smoothies, those are the types of things that helped me to not give in and eat French fries when I was, trying to have a normal life, but I also had fibroids. And, once I started making smoothies and adding things like moringa into my smoothies with hemp protein, which is something I swear by, those are hacks along obviously with bananas and maybe like a nut milk or whatever else I wanted. That made me, I realized I wasn't hungry. I mentioned bladderwhack and sea moss earlier. If you put bladderwhack in your smoothies or take a few bladderwhack capsules, you're not going to be hungry for a while, and you're going to be nourishing your cells, and you're going to have energy, and boost your fertility. I could go on and on and on, but you just have to know what you need that's going to make you feel full and satisfied and get you through the next little wave until, your next meal window. When you're doing a plant-based diet. But for fibroids, you need nourishment. You've got to be eating and taking in high quality vitamins and minerals, non-synthetic, into your body. And that's why smoothies are pretty excellent. And juicing as well is also excellent. But you pair that up with your good fats. So you're going to be getting those avocados and, different oils and things like that. I hope that helped.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all that information, and I look forward to connecting with you.
Of course. You know where to find me. All right. I have two of my goddesses, my colleagues here on the stage. I'm going to invite Chelsea to contribute. Hey, Chelsea.
Hey, sis. How are you? I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss your room. Miss your talk. Because I'd be mad when I'm like, yo, I missed it. And I told you I would at least come in to support.
Thank you. I'm great. Thank you for helping to kick off my first room all by myself. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So I just want to, because I want to be able to support you, but I can also just kind of just share my journey with everybody.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, everything that you're saying, I mean, I'm still learning a lot, even with my journey and kind of like experimenting. And, we have to low key, like, our bodies are kind of like our own guinea pigs, but just being more intentional and mindful about like what we're putting into our bodies or what I'm doing. But, well, necessarily no buts there. But hey, everybody. So there are currently 6 fibroids invading my body. They're all around 2 centimeters, so they're all fairly small, but it's mainly like the types of fibroids and their location. So I have subserosal fibroids along with a submucosal fibroid, and then I also have fibroid that's intramural, which is inside of the uterine cavity within that doctors could potentially remove through the vagina, but I'm actually opting out of doing a surgery right now or just so soon without even, trying to eliminate the fibroids holistically or integratively, because I personally believe in integrative medicine where it's, taking a bit of both sides and figuring out what works best for my body.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as food, I'm more of a holistic approach for sure. And, just to kind of like give an idea of what I've been doing on top of just monitoring the fibroids and also, switching over my lifestyle, it's a couple of things. So, I'm really big into herbs. I'm blessed to have an apothecary in my city, so I can just kind of go somewhere, and be able to get some support in that way with herbs. Bladderwrack, like you said, is amazing. Raspberry leaf changes lives out here, and Dong Quai, which is kind of more so like a Chinese herb that's good for reproductive health or just the womb overall. I've just kind of been experimenting, incorporating with these herbs because my symptoms are pretty awful. But I noticed in being more intentional with my mind and my body, it's really helped. And I think that's what made a huge difference, because even when I do just other practices from like yoni steaming to my castor oil treatment, mm-hmm. or just my castor oil therapy, which is something that I really enjoy, and I feel like a lot of people don't know about it or they don't really talk about that, especially when we're talking about like healing fibroids and actually doing multiple things to help with that. Because I feel like, it's really easy to get sidetracked or just kind of just think of one thing. And I know eating better is super, I'm doing it myself. It's super hard, y'all. Like, to actually eat better and to incorporate it and change your entire lifestyle. Like, it's the best thing that we can do, but we just have to acknowledge that it is hard, but we can definitely do it. But yeah, and then just more in times of like you mentioned, exercise, and I'm not sure if you mentioned earlier, like meditation or just like pausing and calm. Like when I'm on my period, I do nothing. I make sure I'm not working as much. I know everybody doesn't have the luxury of being able to just kind of lay around. But I think like in terms of like what we're thinking about trying to heal the fibroids and, rid our bodies of fibroids, like we have to, think about stress and how we can't stress, we can't do nothing to trigger these things, because it is like it's a hormonal issue and hormonal imbalance. And I think stress definitely contributes to that for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm someone that's been to 3 different doctors, not because necessarily like the fibroids, are really messing me up, but just more so it's just about being an advocate for myself, and just because of what I know, because I think a lot of times when folks going to doctors about their fibroids, they look at you as if you're stupid or you don't know nothing, and they don't want to explain nothing to you, and maybe you're not asking the right questions or certain questions. So I have experienced that, and I think, just moving forward, and what I know is just important for me to be a better example, or do better, and actually lead by example. I got 3 different consultations, 3 different opinions from 3 different doctors that have different lanes, and one was a specialist in fibroids. But it's crazy because a lot of these doctors, only one of them, who was the Chinese man who actually practiced Chinese herbalism, that only he, actually talked to me about nutrition and a lifestyle change. And also, you know, and he was honest in saying, hey, your fibroids are actually relatively small, like super small. However, the location of this one that's, you know, especially if you're planning on having a baby within the next year or two. And by the way, I have no children. I'm 32 and I have yet to have children. So, you know, talking to these doctors about like your plans and stuff, it's always like a plan of like, let's cut you up versus a plan of like, let's actually heal you and get you on the right track so that you're not coming back in here 3-4 years from now with more fibroids. Because they don't really tell y'all that. Like, they don't tell any of us this shit, as far as it's a huge possibility that you can get surgery for, you know, to remove fibroids. And you can also come back because the fibroids will grow back. And, you know, and there's no medical like treatment, or I guess a medical plan that they present that actually helps you avoid all of this together. You know, they don't ask you about your diet. They don't ask you how much soy are you eating. They don't ask you how much dairy you're eating. You know, like they don't do these things.
I was asked about my diet, but they tried to sell me a this like horrible processed packets of food, like in the form of a meal plan. I forgot what I think it was MetaFast. They tried to sell me that and assumed that I ate horrendously, which I didn't. So again, it was not a timely experience with the doctor for me either. So I totally get that.
Yeah, it's hard. And I think, you know, it's just, I'm happy that you exist, that you're doing what you're doing in the space that you're in, and you are able to educate people, because I think, you know, it's a lot of folks, and I'm very much aware of a lot of folks who, you know, do the hysterectomy route or do a myomectomy route, or just, you know, or just kind of just suffering until, you know, the end, because they're just scared of everything, right? But there's definitely things that we could be doing to manage and heal, you know, the fibroids while we're at home, you know. Yes, we do need the doctors, the healthcare services to some degree when it comes to like testing, you know, monitoring the fibroids through the ultrasounds. I think that's a positive. I think it's positive to check, you know, your blood work or get your blood work done, and to actually check and get access to your records so you can see the difference. Because I also have hypothyroidism runs in my family, and that's also based on diet. And it's actually a surprise in my family that I'm just now dealing with fibroids, and I'm also just now having issues with my thyroid. And even just from me changing my diet, that itself has improved. I got off that medication, like, I low-key didn't even really get on the medication, but I tried this medication about a year and some change ago, and I got off of it really quick because I noticed, like, this isn't going to do anything to actually heal me. And so once my diet improved and got better, the thyroid issue actually improved. And that was shocking to a lot of my family members too. And I noticed that a lot of women that I talk to who are experiencing fibroids are also experiencing issues with their thyroid. So that's something, another reason why, like, again, the diet and the foods is key. It's so key, along with, you know, herbs, along with castor oil treatments or therapy, maybe even like V-semen for folks that are into that, meditation, exercise, and also sleep, and not really stressing a lot. You know, 80% of Black women in America will get fibroids by 50. 80% is a ridiculous number. And it's only getting higher. If you look back into like research about 15, 20 years ago, it was 70% of African American women would get fibroids by 50. And then white women were at 50%. Now we're at 80%, and they're at 60, 70%. Yeah.
That's a lot. But, you know, and everything you mentioned is great. By the way, the castor oil is great. And that's what is important to note, I think, for everybody here, is that it's about what is timely for you to put together your own fibroid freedom action plan. You can interchange modalities. You can switch it out. You know, you can do juicing and castor oil and a certain type of exercise and a certain type of herbs, you know, and somebody else, they may need to really focus more heavily on detoxing, you know, their psyche or their emotional, or somebody else maybe needs to not be so sexually open to people who are not giving them and making them feel loved. You know what I mean? So it really depends. You got to get real with yourself. And sometimes all coaching really involves is having somebody that's been in your shoes hear your story and help you hone in on the areas that need attention for you. But everything you just mentioned, Chelsea, is wonderful. And as far as the thyroid relation into fibroids, that is so real. I was so grateful that I didn't have thyroid issues, but a lot of the same things that you're going to be doing. And that's what's cool about going the natural route. You're going to end up indirectly healing and reversing illnesses and sickness and disease in other areas of your body and life.
Yeah, and you're going to feel it. Like it's going to feel a difference.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something that people ask me, how did you do this? And, you know, early on, like when they're like in the, free 15-minute call with me and they're kind of learning about things that, you know, you need to do to shrink fibroids. It's like, oh my God, it just seems like a lot. How did you do it? And I'm like, well, I didn't really have a choice because I immediately stopped having heavy bleeding. I had energy. My stomach wasn't stuck out. My hair started growing back, you know, so it's like I had immediate response from my body, like, thank you for giving me what I've been calling for, you know. Period was normal. And that was something else. When the fibroid that was in the vaginal canal fell out, the period went right back to normal. I'm talking about right back to normal. I didn't have any more heavy bleeding. It was crazy. I went from 2 years of blood bleeding everywhere, hemorrhaging, menorrhagia, accidents galore. I remember being at a job interview and having to get up and leave when the person came back to interview me. I was gone because I could tell I was about to bleed on the chair that I was sitting on. It immediately normalized after the fibroid fell out. It was just kind of like, wow, you know. So thank you, Chelsea, for all of that wonderful information. Chelsea, did you mention your business and your platform?
No, I didn't, but I can do a quick plug. So I have a charity. It's called Happy Period. We literally are just all about eliminating the stigma surrounding periods. And we do this through education, educating kids as young as 9 about their periods, you know, and also like adults, educated adults about all the options that they have for period care. We also provide safe period products to folks in need, folks that have low income, folks that are experiencing houselessness, you know, whatever in between, any issues for whatever reason you don't have access to your period or monthly essentials. We are able to provide this to folks in need through our brand partner. So yeah, I mean, it's we just turned 6 this week, and it's like it's something that we've been wanting to do as far as like create a curriculum that will actually be supported in schools, because in doing this work, like I noticed, there's just not a lot of resources for teaching kids about periods, especially when they're of age, you know, especially with schools. You know, sex ed is such a joke here in the States, girl. But, you know, in doing the work, us donating to shelters and transition homes, we got a lot of requests from schools and teachers to donate, you know, to their students, because a lot of students, you know, their parents don't talk to them about periods and therefore may not give this, you know, make sure the students have their pads or tampons, and, you know, they come to school, and most of us, you know, have experienced getting our period at school or our period coming home randomly at school. So something that we're doing this year is actually to create a curriculum and license it out and be able to provide a curriculum to students, to teachers and other schools that actually will teach kids about periods. And then on top of that, the incentive is that we would provide free period products at the schools. So that'll mean pads and tampons in their restrooms. That'll mean pads in the nurse's station. Wherever they need it, we're able to provide it to them. So yeah, that's what I do. So periods, reproductive health is definitely like in and throughout my life.
Wow.
Yeah, it's definitely
full circle from being in the nonprofit sector, but specifically working in menstrual equity, which is like education and accessibility to period care. So yeah, that's what I do.
That's great.
And crazy that the fibroids just kind of came like years ago, but yeah, super crazy, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. And you said you're 32, and you said more and more women are coming up with this illness, this infirmity. And it's funny because I feel like I was diagnosed with fibroids in 2012. I'm older, y'all. So I guess I was, God, I don't know. Now I can't do math, but I'm 43 now. So you do the math, So I guess I was around 37 when I was diagnosed. But I keep a lot of clients that are coming into, sessions with me are 27 and 29. And I'm like, how is this happening? But to me, it's also partially, and it's something that I like to put out there to help alleviate guilt and anxiety and the question of what did I do to my body? What did I do wrong? The food supply, the environment, the atmosphere, the global climate, with all of the, unrest or seemingly crazy patterns of energy that are happening with our government and all kinds of stuff. All of those things are factors that could be contributing to the growth consciously or subconsciously. So I wouldn't feel, guilt, personally, as far as like you did something drastically wrong or how did you make a mistake. Don't even look at it like that. Just know that, there's a lot going on right now that you don't even know. There's levels and layers to this topic. And all it really takes is you getting personal and comfortable and with yourself, being real with yourself and putting a system in place. And you can get rid of them. I don't care what anybody says. You just have to know it. So thanks, Chelsea.
It's very true.
Well, wonderful. Thank you, Chelsea. So, Darlene, I'm going to come to you next, but really quickly, I have someone on YouTube that is asking a question, so I'm going to answer that. Trish says, I have large fibroids and lupus on a plant-based diet, no meat, smoothies every day, but no success. Not sure what I'm doing wrong. Also, is it okay to be on your program when I take lupus medication? So, Trish, for you, first of all, thank you for being a subscriber and being on my YouTube channel. But in order to effectively answer that, I would need to speak to you personally. So I'm going to need you to set up a free 15-minute call with me. You can email me, fibroidfreedom@gmail.com, because I really would need to know what that lupus medication is. And I would also need to know more concrete about what type of a plant-based diet you're following and what's in your smoothies. So if you're serious and you want to get started, set up a free call, email me, and we can answer that concretely for you. Okay? FibroidFreedom@gmail.com. Darlene, I'm going to invite you up, Goddess, to contribute. Welcome.
Hello.
Hey, Goddess.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Good. And Chelsea, we've talked as well, I think just on IG. So, hello, YouTube girl. Hey. So, I kind of have my own, fibroid story. We've had this conversation before. And I'm in the womb wellness space as a yoni practitioner. And so that's kind of, for me, steaming has helped. I think I was diagnosed with fibroids. I'm 42. When I was 37.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that I had them, and I was having some pain during sex, and so that's why that's how I got diagnosed. Had an ultrasound, and they found fibroids. And then I started to steam afterwards, and that helped me with the pain. So I no longer had the pain with intercourse, and then I would have this really sharp, almost stabbing pain during ovulation, and that went away as well once I started steaming. I still had the fibroids, but the symptoms of the fibroids went away. I didn't have any more clotting. I used to have really bad blood clots when I had my cycle, and really bad cramping for the first 2 days, like to where I was just in the bed, heating pad. It was just horrible. But I did make some changes. So, of course, I went vegan. At some point, I'm not vegan anymore, but in the last 8 years, I've been off and on vegan, plant-based, and I do maintain a really good diet for the most part. The issue that I'm seeing with a lot of us is the soy. And I think me and you had that conversation even today. So I went to Sprouts. Sprouts is like the farmer's market, right? And I'm on my cycle, so I have kind of a sweet tooth. So I wanted something, but I was like, okay, I'm going to go to Sprouts. I'll probably get gluten-free, right? Everything that is gluten-free has soy in it. And I've been paying so much more attention to my ingredients now because I'm totally eliminating soy from everything. I pretty much can't buy anything because it's in every single thing that we buy at that store that is packaged. You know what I mean? And that's the reason why we have this issue with fibroids. One of the reasons is the soy. The soy is such a horrible hormonal irritant to us, and I would honestly say, especially as African American women. And we really, really, really need to be paying attention to the ingredients in our food source and making our food ourselves. Setting intentions behind your food, preparing your food at home, making sure that you're eating those green leafy vegetables, juicing, smoothies. I too have started with the castor oil packs. And I'm going to do 4 days on, 4 days off, or 4 days on, 3 days off. And I'm going to try that for the next few months and see. Okay. Yes. I just started that. Also, colonics. So I'm adding colonics to my monthly routine. So I'm going to get a colonics once a month this year. I've added the castor oil packs, and then I'm also doing a juice water fast, juice water smoothie fast every single month. So just like depending on the month of the year, that's how many days I will go. For January, it was 1 day. For February, 2 days. So by December, I'll be able to do 12 days juice smoothie water fast to help eliminate.
And that may be all you need. I interviewed, I don't know if I told you that. Michelle Clark is her name. And she got rid of fibroids multiple in 16 days, 16 or 17.
Oh, wow.
She water fasted though. But she juiced right before. But I think she said she has a book on her site, but I think she said she water fasted for 17 days.
Oh, wow.
And they were gone.
I would love to be able to do that. But it takes discipline.
Oh, my God,
so that's why I just said, once a month, I'm just going to add another day on every month and get to my 12 days. And if I want to keep going, I'm going to keep going.
I think that's smart. And I think that's I would love to, have feedback on how it's going for you. Because I experimented with fasting, but I never did anything that hardcore. I did mini fasts where I would juice, for 2 or 3 days and eat raw. But, I probably have only literally fasted for like a day or two. And it was tough. It was like one of the hardest things I've ever done. But I know that if I could have gone a longer time, I probably would have been fibroid free a lot quicker, so.
Yeah. This is something I prayed about, and it was something that was given to me in a dream. So
there you go.
I was like, there you go, intuition. When
you
you ask for something, and so I said, okay, I'm going to do it. So I'm going to do it this year, and we'll see.
And that's,
but like Chelsea, my fibroids are not big. I think I have 4, and the largest one is 3 centimeters. So they're pretty small. Like I said, they don't bother me or anything anymore.
Yeah.
But to get rid of them, I don't want them on the stat ultrasound anymore. I don't want to see them.
Yeah, I think you can get rid of them.
I feel that's exactly what I said. I was like, they just shouldn't be there.
Right.
It's like, how can y'all just make me home and say, we'll monitor them, or if they're small, it's nothing to worry about. But it's like, so you're just gonna wait for them to start to slowly kill me. Okay, got it.
Or until you get that surgery and they get the checks.
Yeah, and they get the check, right? Because they know you're gonna eventually walk in here with symptoms and be complaining, and but anyway, darling, I so support you, and I'm excited for you.
Me too.
Please, if you don't mind, we can go back and forth. I can kind of share what I'm doing, and I'm keeping low key a journal too. I don't know if y'all.
That's good.
Yep. Okay, word.
Great tips, ladies.
And everything.
Yes.
The journaling is great, and both of y'all just mentioned stuff to address the non-physical factors that feed fibroids. The journals, the dreams and the prayer, Darlene, all of those are so I think, estimated when you're trying to explain to people what they could be doing and what really we all should be doing to shrink fibroids, to maintain fibroid-free wombs, to really manifest, right? Because that's really what we're talking about. And you said, you got the message in a dream. Like that right there is like you start knowing you're on the right track when you are going within and getting intuitive guidance, and a lot of times I think, I feel like you're on the right track. I have to stress that enough when it's something that you may feel a little crazy talking about when you're doing your self-care work. You're getting like intuitive guidance, messaging and confirmation in dreams, even journaling though. That's another form of, you doing that self-care work and those activities that a lot of people, they underestimate or don't really take seriously, but those things really make a difference in shrinking fibroids naturally.
Yeah, and as well with the herbs as well. I'm an herbalist, so I do herbs as well. But I think it's about the blend.
For sure.
You want something that's going to shrink tumors, but then you also want something that's going to help balance stress, and then you also want something that's going to detox and cleanse the blood and the kidneys and the liver. So everything kind of has to work in a certain way so that your body is getting rid of the waste or the toxins, basically. Yep.
Yeah.
Making sure that my blends are balanced and that I'm choosing the right herbs. And food is first, and that's what I always teach my clients too. Food is number one. You're just supplementing with herbs.
I love it.
But you got to have your eating down, and you got to have great eating habits and good food, quality food. And then also, you don't always have to go plant-based, but we have to be very intentional about our food and our food sources. So if you want to eat meat, source your food from farms that you can trust, that you can ask, what do they feed the animals? Is it a soy-based feed? If it is, then that's not the farm that you want to go to. You want to source your food and be very intentional about everything that you do. So that's also something that I teach my clients as well too. So
I support that. When I, say plant-based, I always recommend 75 to 100% plant-based. And that's something that Chelsea Osademe, who was on the stage earlier, mentioned that she did and has seen some great results from, just because it wasn't realistic for me at the time to eat plant-based 100% all the time. Although I would say I'm pretty much close to that now, but I'm still not 100%. But I do make sure that I either go on increments of time where I eat only plants. Now it'd be like like we do fast all the time on Facebook. So I think we did a 22-day fast the last time we did a challenge. So that was 22 days of plant-based only, no meat, juicing daily. Or I think we did a week of juices, and then we focused on smoothies for a week. But, I didn't eat meat like, that entire time. And that is definitely how I tackled getting my plants in when I had fibroids. And if I ever did engage in meat, I did what Darlene said. I made sure the meat was organic, of course, no hormones in the meat, locally sourced, where it was something where it was like butcher or kosher meat or something like that. But that's what I recommend. You got to be really, if you're going to eat meat, you still shouldn't eat it as often as you probably have been eating it. And it's got to be like, if it's beef, it should be grass-fed, organic, that type of thing. Organic chicken, no hormones added. It has to be really, really clean. And it should probably be no more than twice a week. And if you're going to have fish, because a lot of us default to fish and say, well, I'll be a pescatarian. It's a lot more healthy for me to eat fish. But again, fish has its own set of things that we have to look out for, like heavy metals, mercury, contamination from dumping in the oceans. Fukushima, the nuclear plant, erupted a few years ago, and it went all into the oceans and seas. So that's nuclear waste in the ocean contaminating all the fish. Fish having two heads and connected and all kinds of crazy deformities. From this nuclear reactor that had busted and basically contaminated the oceans. And that is presence of all of that. Those toxins is still in the oceans, and all the bodies of water are connected. So, those are things that we have to look out for, as well as farm-raised fish. Tilapia is a horrible fish to eat because it's got dioxin or carbon monoxide in the fish flesh. as well as like bottom feeders and shellfish. Those are horrible because they're filtering the trash out of the ocean. So those are some things for how, and you know, of course, shellfish and mussels, you don't want to eat any of those, but you just have to, like she said, like Darlene just mentioned, you've got to put your system together personal to you, and you have to really vet everything that you're putting in your body as well as on your body. I have a esthetician, a natural esthetician here in the room, Marvina. If you want to say anything, feel free to raise your hand. But she does natural esthetician work, and she knows heavily about the importance of natural products and whatnot what we use on the body. Our skin is our biggest organ. So, you know, with fibroids, you really want to start looking at natural alternatives for everything that we apply topically, our beauty products, even our cleaning products. So thank you, goddesses, for sharing that. I really appreciate y'all being here with me for my first Clubhouse conversation. And I have Sophie on the stage. Sophie, did you have a question or something you wanted to say?
Hi, thank you so much. I'm loving this conversation. I'm a functional and holistic menstrual health coach. I work with women with all sorts of menstrual health issues, anxiety, and gut health. And so I'm just loving learning from you guys. And I just honestly wanted to say thank you for hosting this room. I'd love to keep in touch and maybe even collaborate or refer with people who have fibroids. It's something that I'm still learning about in the menstrual space. And one thing I wanted to add that I have seen really helpful in terms of, you were talking about detox, you know, I do a lot of testing around liver clearance and gut clearance, and I do find a lot of my ladies with fibroids have a lot of extra estrogen hanging around in their GI tracts and in their livers. So sometimes that testing has been a really powerful change for them, along with like everything you just said. Like, I'm a huge proponent of everything holistic. So I wanted to say thanks. And I also popped on like right when Chelsea was speaking. Chelsea, I would love to help in any way that I can, offer time, volunteer, anything on the menstrual equity side of things. I'd love to get involved. So I just wanted to say hi and thank you.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you for coming in the room today. And it's nice to meet you, Sophie. Yeah, definitely. I'm always open to collaborate. This is a new platform for me. So we can definitely talk off of here and discuss possibly doing some work together. Yeah.
Awesome. I would love that. Especially really interested in picking your brains more about the plant-based diet because, it'd just be really cool to hear your experience more. And I know a lot of people who don't do well on it for other health concerns. So it's actually really interesting to hear that from you guys and hear all of what you've tried, you know, again, individually to feel so much better. It's really awesome. Congratulations on shrinking and removing your fibroids naturally.
Wait, so you said, I'm sorry, my bad, Sophie. You said you know of a lot of people that take that route and it doesn't work out for them. Can you elaborate?
Not for fibroids. So that's what I'm saying is so interesting about what you're explaining has worked really well for you. I have a lot of clients who are dealing with like other complicated health issues like hypothyroidism, for example, which requires certain amino acids and easier to convert from proteins from animal proteins and things like this. So a lot of them have genetic things that are going on. So it's really interesting. I actually love hearing this about the plant-based diet working for you guys. And I think it's just another realization of how individual and how much, you know, someone who might have fibroids might need something different.
I have another question.
Yeah.
So for the folks that in your experience that you know where it typically doesn't work out or there's other complications, what do they look like? Or is it are these majority white women, Black women? Is it really a set mixture? I'm curious. Yeah. I'm in this space too, so it's interesting. You know, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I think it's a mix. I think that generally. So here's like an example, Chelsea. Some women who've come to me, who are two specifically that I'm thinking of, African American women. One's mixed. She was really struggling with iron deficiency anemia because she had PCOS and she was having like menstrual flooding, and she was having a hard time getting her iron up on a plant-based diet. So that was a situation where she started to feel better when she had some animal protein. I think because the iron was helping her. Now, since then, obviously I'm a big proponent of eating lots and lots of veggies, but it was interesting to see her experiment with that after being on a plant-based diet for so long and getting her iron up and then having her periods get better. It was just fascinating. And she was a woman of color, actually, to answer your question.
Thank you, Sophie. That's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just fascinating. I just really loved hearing your guys' experience because, I don't know, I just think it's really cool to hear how you guys did this naturally using plants. It's very, very inspiring, It's just inspiring to hear it.
Well, you can definitely do it, and that's one of the reasons I, started this platform. But it's about, again, figuring out what works for you and putting together a system for you.
Yeah.
And also, it's important to set that intention, knowing that you have the power to manifest whatever you want that outcome to be, and then put that action behind it. And, you don't have to get rid of meat. I hate saying that because I feel like people will take that and run with it, but you will see a lot faster results, in my opinion, if you get rid of it. Because first of all, it's heavier to digest, and it takes a lot more energy and concentration and attention from your body digesting and dissolving the fibroids. And then, eating meat, it will make you feel better and fuller, and does have that heme iron. But, there are herbs that we can add in, and that's the reality. There's herbs that, as well as other healing modalities in the form of supplements that will replace and really fix that iron deficiency that you can use, that will stop heavy bleeding and fill those iron stores in the long run. So it just depends on what the client is open to. But in the long run, you really want to start at least educating yourself on non-meat options, because long-term effects of eating meat have more side effects than not eating meat, than eating plant-based. Like if you eat more meat, you're still increasing your risk of developing hypertension or diabetes in the long run, that kind of thing, which will throw the hormones off. And then if there is the possibility of fibroids coming back, it will make the environment more homely and comfortable for fibroids to develop. So it just depends, it's all, Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think what you just said is really great to hear, because it's, I think when we can find alternatives to meat that are, like you said, either through supplements or herbs or, what have you, this can be a game changer for someone dealing with fibroids specifically. You know what I mean? I think, and other things like you just mentioned, hypertension. So it's really cool to connect with people who are doing this approach. I would love to connect offline with you further. And thank you so much for educating on this.
My pleasure. Let's definitely link up. Sounds like we got a lot of experts in here, so that's always cool to be in good company. All right. I am just going to go ahead and shortly, I'll be inviting Marvina up, the natural esthetician, to contribute. I had the pleasure of meeting her over the past weekend, and we immediately clicked. So I definitely am excited to hear what you have to share. If anybody else has any questions, feel free to raise your hand and I will invite you up to the stage as well. But for those that don't know, really quickly, my name is Cecily Simmons. My platform is Operation Fibroid Freedom. I developed it because I successfully eliminated uterine fibroids when I was told I had to have surgery. I decided to go the natural route, and I figured out the way to make my body, support my body is a better way to put it, to actually shrink and dissolve fibroids. And now I coach other women on how to do the same thing. I'm also an herbalist, and I also am a certified womb Reiki practitioner. And I'm a newly certified yoga teacher as well. So I just wanted to let everybody know, in case you didn't know, who I am and a little bit about me. And now I will bring Marvina up. Marvina, if you want to unmute and go ahead and share any insight, that would be great.
Hey, Cecily, thank you so much for having me here tonight. I am learning so much from all you ladies. My journey with fibroids has been a little different, but I can definitely relate to everything that you guys have said about the heavy clotting, the heavy cycles. seeming like you're going to mess up everything every time you put clothes on. It's just a ridiculous amount of time that we put into it. And what you are teaching women has been amazing. And I just want to applaud you for all the effort and time that you put into this platform and helping us understand what we need to do, how, and why.
Oh, it is my pleasure, Goddess. Thank you so much.
You're so very welcome. One thing that I did want to add, being a esthetician and definitely doing things the most natural way that I know how, I wanted to add water to the conversation because water is such a huge part of this journey.
I agree.
And what we drink and how we drink it, and in cleaning our foods with it, it is a major game changer. You know, and I think that women or people, period, need to look at the water that they're drinking and how it is affecting their body. Most people go, well, I don't drink tap water. They buy different types of water. And when you look at the acid level, and most of the bottled waters that we drink is just ridiculous. And when we're trying to bring oxygen and alkalinity to the body, we really need to think about the type of water that we're using and making sure that we're cleaning our foods properly before we eat them, especially being plant-based, because they're closer to the ground and they collect so much other things, if that makes any sense at all to everybody.
Oh, yeah. I love it. I agree.
Yeah. So I just wanted to add that. Think about the different type of water that you're using, that you're drinking, and even cooking with. Because people say, oh, I drink with, bottled water, but you don't boil with bottled water. You don't cook with bottled water for the most part. So think about that. What type of unit could you get to make sure that your water is clean and purified and different things of that nature, and not drinking reverse osmosis water, because that's probably about, I think, in my opinion, the worst water you can drink, because it takes out everything good, bad, and indifferent, and then it puts synthetics back into the water to bring the alkalinity up to make it worthwhile.
That's
so that's my 2 cents, and I hope it helps somebody.
That's some valuable info. I actually didn't know that about reverse osmosis water.
Okay, and so simple. It's like water. Yes, we need to stay hydrated, of course.
That's on my list, actually, of one of the bullet points to talk about. So that's right on target, because I love that you mentioned that, Marvina, because that's a simple thing for how to know if you're ready for the natural fibroid freedom lifestyle. Because a lot of women too that I've talked to, they don't drink water, and I'm like, that's an easy hack. That's an easy, cheap fix that you can start doing, a new activity, and you'll probably save some money that you would have spent at the doctor's office or on fibroid coaching. A lot of women, if they have small fibroids, or maybe not even small, if they just start eating some plants and drinking only water, you can do a lot of proper work to start seeing results with shrinking fibroids. A lot of goddesses are not drinking water. So that's really valuable. And it seems simple. You would think, that would be second nature, but I noticed a lot of women are not, they don't want to drink water. Or I've gotten from like grown women, like, I don't like water. I hate drinking it. And I'm like, well, that's probably why you have fibroids if you're healthy, so just start drinking that, because, and then of course you mentioned particular types of water. So I want you to talk a little bit more about the equipment that because I know you have the alkaline water machines. So if you want to talk a little bit more about that, because there are levels to the topic of water as well. So go ahead.
Definitely. Well, I own quite a few Kangen alkaline water systems. And I say quite a few because not only do I have one, my mom has one, my son has one, and I shower in it. It's just, tap water is nothing we use in our home. And when I began to do my research, what I learned that it has literally helped people dealing with different types of illnesses, being diabetes and cancers and tumors and just all kind of things because it hydrates the body on a cellular level. You know, sometimes we'll drink water and it just sits in our stomach and it feels completely slushy and you feel bloated and things like that. And that's because the molecules of that water is so big, it doesn't penetrate like it should. So you're not really feeling hydrated or full. You just feel bloated and big. Well, with this particular water, the molecules are smaller. So as you're drinking it, it's literally starting to dissipate into the body so that it can feed your organs, it can feed your cells, it can hydrate your skin and different things of that nature so that it's giving your body truly what it needs. And because there's no chemicals used to bring up the alkalinity of this water, it's all natural, it's done by electricity. It only lasts in glass about 7 days tops. So after that, it's just really good, pure drinking water. But if you're drinking it off really well, right out of the spout for the most part, it can do so many different things. You'll notice that your skin is so much clearer. Your hair seems to be healthier where you're not having a bunch of split ends. Your nails seems to be stronger. It's just the little things that begin to add up when you put them all together. You can change the level of the water from drinking to getting chemicals out of your home completely. So things like using Windex and 409 and bleach and things of that nature, washing your clothes. People don't realize that there's still chemicals in that. In the Bounty static cleaning cloths that we use in our dryers, instead of those things, I tell clients to get a sponge, cut it up, soak it in some water, put a couple of drops of essential oil, whatever your favorite kind is, in that water, put that sponge in the water, toss it in your dryer. So now as it's floating around and it's drying your clothes, you have that scent that you need, and it takes the static away at the same time. So now you don't have chemicals in your dryer. Does that make sense to anybody?
Oh, yeah. You're giving some good info.
Exactly. It's just little simple things that you can do to start removing chemicals from the home. And this particular unit does it so well where I can press one button and use it for my Windex or watering my plants or brushing my teeth or washing my floors. Just so many different things. Where did you get it? So I sell them, but I ordered it off of from a company, and the company name is eMagic. But anybody can reach out to me. I am in Georgia, so we have a water program here as well, or you can purchase the unit for your own home. But yes.
That's great. Yeah. You just delivered a lot of value for the discussion of, xenoestrogens and, endocrine disruptors and our cleaning supplies and our detergents and things like that. It's really powerful and valuable to do what is called an estrogen audit, where we look at all of the ways we could be being exposed to things that are causing estrogen dominance in the form of everything that we apply topically, as far as our beauty products, as well as things that we're cleaning with our everyday household items. So that's some powerful information on how to make your own cleaner with essential oil. So thank you so much for that. You're welcome. And how can they reach you if they're interested in your machines that you sell?
You can email me at BelleJuSpa, BELLEJUSPA @gmail.com. You can also find me on IG, same way, BelleJuSpa. And if you ever want to come and check me out at the spa, it's BelleJuSpa.com. So there's always you can reach me, and my number here is 678-769-0529.
And you're also a natural esthetician, right? And a massage therapist.
Yes, licensed esthetician, massage therapist, and certified herbalist. So I've been in this space now for just over 20 years and love every moment of it. Just being able to help somebody really try and put their life back on track in that realm is just been a godsend for me.
That's wonderful. Well, I appreciate you showing up today. And like I said, everybody, we just met this past weekend at a birthday party, but we instantly clicked with the natural talk and natural discussion. And she's just such good energy. So if anybody's interested, definitely give her a call. Thank you, Marvina.
You're welcome. And you guys can always follow me here on Clubhouse.
Great. All right. I'm going to proceed with the next question. But before I do, I think I'm going to Antoinette next. But before I do that, I have a question on my YouTube. It is LaShonda Davis wants to know she would love to know how to shrink fibroids naturally. LaShonda, you're in the right place. First, if this is the first time on my YouTube, I have plenty of information on how I got rid of fibroids naturally. You can look through that. We talk a lot about juicing and smoothies here on the channel. But you can also message me personally, and I can help you set up what is called your Natural Fibroid Freedom Action Plan, where we start to address the key pillars of natural fibroid elimination, like detoxing, nourishing your womb and your body, regular bowel movements, and so on and so forth. There's certain key areas that you need to be looking at, like estrogen dominance, what we just talked about a little bit. And we kind of look at that and how that applies to your life. And we set up a protocol or a set of action steps in the form of healthier lifestyle habits personal to you. So if you're interested, book me for a 1-hour consultation or sign up for private coaching. Email me fibroidfreedom@gmail.com or go over to my website, operationfibroidfreedom.com, and select one of my services. And I'm also available for a free 15-minute call. If you want to talk to me a little bit more to see if we're a good fit, just send me that email at fibroidfreedom@gmail.com. All right, Antoinette, welcome to you, Goddess. Go ahead and unmute and let me know your question or contribution.
Hey, you're the goddess. Wow, thank you so much for sharing, because I definitely just chimed in on the second half. And
Sure.
I love what you're doing. That's so wonderful that you're sharing stories and experiences and resources on natural alternatives for women and fibroids. I think this topic is so interesting to me. I used to be a holistic nutritionist. I'm no longer practicing, but I used to work at a chronic pain clinic, and there were just like a really large number of women that had fibroids, and that was just so eye-opening to me. And a lot of people just aren't even aware that it's a thing at all. So I'm glad that you're sharing these experiences, because I remember I had a friend who, just because she went with a friend to go get her surgery, she went to go ask her doctor just to check it out, and she also had fibroids. So this would be such an undiagnosed thing for like many people, which is so interesting. But I just wanted to share, because I don't have fibroids, but I have a Pleasure Talks podcast, which talks about the intersection of cannabis and sexual health. And we feature a lot of women to share their own cannabis and sexual health stories. We also share sex educators and doctors on the platform as well. And I just remember this one story, which is Ashley Athill, who had a 13-pound fibroid. 13-pound fibroid. Wow. And it was such an amazing story, and I'll share it with you guys so you can hear the whole thing. But she ended up using Rick Simpson oil to shrink her fibroid, which was so interesting. So I'm always into natural alternatives, obviously, with my background being holistic nutrition. But I'm glad that you're sharing juicing in other ways as well, because I think that there's so much opportunity for this space to grow. And but yeah, she used Rick Simpson oil, which is insane. It's a heavily high dosage cannabis oil.
That was my next question. What is Rick Simpson oil?
Yeah, Rick Simpson is actually a Canadian who is known very heavily on YouTube, because he filmed his whole experience using cannabis oil to cure his skin cancer. So he's like just known in the industry as an OG, and has just shared his recipe with millions of people, and has helped tons of cancer patients, which is so interesting. That's cool. I think why we have so much research on THCA specifically when it comes to cancers and tumors specifically. So
that's great.
Obviously, there's a lot more work to be done. I'm not a doctor, I'm not here to diagnose or anybody. But what I would like to say is that
at Pleasure Peaks, we actually give away a ton of free cannabis products. And we do that through our pleasure labs because we want to get more data and research on these ailments, because we do deserve more research and data on these ailments. And it's so sad that, you know, the female vagina is the least studied and least funded area in the body when it comes to research. So we'd like to do a lot of our in-house research. So, you know, you don't have to have a specific ailment, but it's really just to gather data when it comes to sexual health and cannabis. So if you'd like free cannabis products, that is just offering to you guys is thank you for having this room.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for sharing that info. That's pretty powerful. Where can we listen to your podcast?
My podcast is on Spotify and on Anchor.fm. It's the Pleasure Talks podcast.
I got to write that down and come check you out.
You can go to pleasurepeaks.com and we'll have everything, our products, our podcasts, our pleasure labs, so you can get the free products.
Wonderful.
So it's pleasurepeaks.com.
Because I have gotten some questions in the past about cannabis for fibroids, and I had to, you know, that's not my experience. So it's good to hear that there is some place to direct people looking for that channel.
Yeah, like we offered CBD suppositories, but I'm not going to say obviously that they're incredibly effective for fibroids. I think that takes different types of cannabinoids at way higher dosages, but we do have some products that at least provide relief until we can get those data to make those innovative pharmaceutical products. Hopefully one day, I think that's to be done, but you know, I hope it's like conscious, healthy pioneers like ourselves,
right,
in this space too.
Wonderful.
So thanks for letting me share.
Thank you, Antoinette. Appreciate it. Well, that's pretty cool. I have Tara. Welcome, Goddess. Tara, did you have a question? Maybe not. Okay.
Sorry, no, I do. Sorry, I was muted. This is my first time speaking up on Clubhouse.
Welcome.
Thank you. I was actually invited here by Darlene, who is a friend of mine.
Okay.
And I was recently diagnosed with fibroids this past fall. I've always had a heavy period my whole life, I guess, but it was, I would say, in the last year and a half, becoming increasingly problematic. And I saw the doctor, and of course, their first solution is surgery. Not just surgery, because of my age. I mean, I don't feel like I'm old, but being that I'm 41 or over 40,
yeah.
The first thing that they jump to is hysterectomy. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought I was going to come in and I thought it was going to be something related to my hormones, perhaps,
right,
or my thyroid. I didn't even think about fibroids. And, you know, now coming to realize that, you know, 70 to 80% of Black women are suffering from this. It's just like, well, I can't believe I didn't even think of this, or I didn't know this. But so that was a little bit shocking. And, you know, the doctor, it didn't seem to understand like why I'm so opposed to removing my uterus.
Wow.
But my question, I guess, for you is, you know, I'm not ruling anything out at this point as far as surgery. I'm definitely ruling out hysterectomy. I'm not ready to go there, but
good.
I'm open to surgery, perhaps. I do have a consultation coming up in the beginning of March with a surgeon, just to explore that option.
Okay.
Because the initial doctor doesn't do surgeries. But my question for you is, can you give me some tips or suggestions of how I can best discuss other avenues or natural therapies, you know, with my doctor?
I can try, but I don't know if your doctor will be receptive to them, because my doctor wasn't at the time. But maybe your doctor, you know, is more open to pairing up natural modalities with traditional Western medicine. But if they are not, and that is something you are adamant on, then I would suggest that you go and find another doctor. Because my experience has been, my doctor was like, get off of all the herbs that you're taking. She was like, yeah, everything I told her I was doing natural. Yeah, that doesn't really work. And she even told me, you know, the fibroids you have are too big to shrink. So, you know, I don't have, I would say search for another doctor who is more receptive. That's what I would say. And also, I believe that there are doctors out there who are open. I just don't know any right now. And I actually went to a holistic advertised holistic gynecologist. So you have to be very careful now as a woman, a Black woman in, you know, the environment, in a medical environment right now. There's a lot of talk about, I don't want to go deep into that here, but just really having to watch out for yourself and maintaining your reproductive, your fertility, and your rights inside of the doctor's appointment in the medical office setting these days. So it's definitely nothing to play around with right now. I would say meet other doctors and see who is most receptive to at least being open to you going natural. But my other question to you would be, what about the natural? In what way were you thinking of combining the natural with the doctor side of things?
You know, I don't know necessarily if I'm looking to combine it. Maybe if there's a way that I can monitor medically, you know, what's going on, as well as exploring options. I just don't want to do. I'm not ready to go to the extreme of a hysterectomy.
I think that's smart. I think that's right there. Where you're at with that is like my biggest yay. Like I could get up out of my chair right now and jump up and down, because I think right now I'm hearing, because when I went to the doctor and found out I had fibroids, I was around 37, 36, maybe a little younger. Maybe that's when I got rid of them. I'm horrible with math on the spot, but I wasn't told that I had to have a hysterectomy. She just recommended a myomectomy. I know the factors that determine that are how many and where they're located and all that. But I mean, 42, you know, is not old, you know, and I feel like I'm hearing a lot of discussion about so many people automatically defaulting to hysterectomies, you know. So I would first look for, if you're going to go the traditional Western medicine route, find somebody who is sensitive to not automatically default into hysterectomy, and see if you can pair up, like you said, for monitoring purposes, whatever your natural methods that you're going to put in place for your own natural fibroid elimination system. See if you can find somebody that is open to at least helping you maybe periodically go in and look at the size to see if they've gotten smaller, and somebody that's open to, you know, herbs and maybe naturopathy, you know. But I think the way that you're going to do that possibly is to find a doctor, somebody medical that also does naturopathy, does herbs, you know. But in my experience, it was not a good, comfortable, like welcoming response to anything herbs. I was told to get off of it and go on synthetic medicines. And yes, the side effects say they're going to make your hair fall out, but don't pay attention to those. You're not going to take them. You're not going to be on them long enough, that kind of thing. So, you know, you got to go with that intuition. Like you said, you know, you're not having a hysterectomy. You have to get to where, you know, you're going to, you know, go in a certain direction with the natural route at some point, and put the systems in place and do the work. You know, maybe even give yourself, again, a time window. And remember, we have to be patient with our bodies and Mother Nature, but also put the work in. You know, how hardcore are you willing to work with natural healing methods? Not that you have to do this, but if you were somebody that, and this is hard, what I'm about to mention, by the way. So I'm just saying, for example, if somebody's serious and wants to get rid of them, like the goddess that I spoke with on my Instagram, she was ready to have babies. She was tired of the BS. She fasted. She water fasted for 16 days and was fibroid free. You know what I mean? I didn't do that. I just eliminated a bunch of stuff that I knew could be confusing or distracting my body from dissolving fibroids, like meat, for periods of time, 21 days, then 2 months, then 3 months, you know. And in between that time, I'd take a break, and then I'd let myself have a treat. You know, a couple of times I fell off of the wagon and I saw the fibroids get bigger. And then I learned, I know what I'm doing. I'm just being lazy. So I knew by looking and giving myself that opportunity how to increase and crank up my efforts. And then I did see the fibroid fall out and the other one disappeared, because I was properly supporting those systems where I was eliminating through my skin, through my bowels, through saying what I really needed to say that was on my mind and not holding stuff in. you know, all of those things. But I had a system going. So I would say give yourself a time and put a system in place. And if you need help with that, reach out to me or another natural practitioner. And then, you know, if you still are not where you want to be, maybe go and, you know, see your doctor if you still are open to having surgery.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome.
Hey, Tara.
Hi, darling.
Well, thank you, Tara. I have another goddess that I'm going to bring up to the stage that has a question. And if anybody has any other questions, this is a great time to raise your hand because we're going on the 3rd hour. And I'm going to be winding this room down shortly. So if anybody has anything, just contribute or you want to introduce yourself, feel free to go ahead and raise your hand so we can bring you up to the stage and get ready to wind out this discussion. And I will be posting a new, I'm trying to get more regular on Clubhouse. So I'll be posting new topics of discussion for the coming weeks. So make sure you are following me. And if anybody wants to collaborate, I'm open to that too. So connect with me on Instagram at OP Fibroid Freedom. The link is in my bio, or OperationFibroidFreedom.com or Operation Fibroid Freedom on YouTube for collaborations, consultations, and the like. Cece, you are next. Goddess, please unmute and share your question.
Hello, ladies. Good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you are. I just wanted to thank you for having this platform, and I so wish that Clubhouse was around a long time ago to be able to connect with women. I actually did not know that there were all these amazing natural ways that you can remove the fibroids or shrink them. In November of 2019, I went in to question fertility and had no idea I had fibroids. So the OBGYN that I had for 16 years never even told me that I had fibroids. So on that visit in November, my gynecologist wasn't available, and I'm like super regular with my pap smears, everything. I had winded up going to see an alternate doctor within their rotation, and that's when I first found out I had fibroids. And when they did the CT scan and so the ultrasound, and said that I had a couple that were the size of golf balls, and they wanted to recommend me to a surgeon to find out if there were more fibroids in my body. So when I did that, met with the surgeon, and then they did the scan, they told me that there were so many fibroids in my body that it would have been almost impossible to conceive because it had covered my whole uterus area, and that my only choice was a hysterectomy.
Wow.
And so this was in November. In June of November 2019, by June of 2020, June 10th, they had did a complete hysterectomy where all that was left was my ovaries. And when I look at that now, I feel like that was the worst decision that I ever made. Not so much for conception purposes, but I feel like had I known that there were other options, and had I known that all that time my body was carrying fibroids, I could have looked at all these amazing things like you ladies are talking about to find out what option would have been best for me. I feel like because I didn't know, and it was such a short amount of time, and like the lady Tara was talking about, that's the first route they give you, especially as an African American woman. I'm thinking that this is my only choice, and I'm like, so I really just wanted to say thank you for having a platform, because now I'm a huge advocate for women, especially African American women, to know that don't go to that as an automatic choice. Once you know that this is something that you have, depending on the severity of how you're suffering, look at all your options, try all your options that are natural, and then let that be a decision. Don't have the same situation that happened to me where I felt like that was it, the end all be all. And within 6 months, I had to make this horrible decision with my life.
Wow.
So that's all I wanted to share. Just thank you for this platform to just save more women from having to go through what I went through.
Oh, well, thank you, Cece. Thank you, Goddess, for being here and sharing your powerful testimony. Your story is definitely going to help and inspire others on their journey. I'm sorry to hear how all of that played out, but I do salute you, and I'm sending you a big hug and positive healing energy and support for all that you've been through, because you know, there's a whole host of deeper discussions that we could talk about when we talk about the proliferation of hysterectomies that are being recommended now, specifically with Black wombs. But I won't go into that today because that's a whole, it's a really, really heavy topic. But I do value that you are here and supporting and telling other women don't default to that, because that's totally where I'm at with the topic. I think that there's always a way. And I believe, and I've seen that from knowing and having that as my own belief, I've seen miraculous healing for myself, members of my family, and people that I've just randomly told things to in the community. You just have to realize and know that that is an option and available for you, and give yourself the opportunity, give yourself the time to figure out what it is, because it will, the route that you need for you to get whatever type of reverse of illness and sickness and disease, I don't care what it is. I'm serious about this. It will reveal itself if you take the time to believe that it is available. That outcome is a real potentiality for you. You just have to be willing to put in work, and you're going to see some stuff. And sometimes when things look like they're not working, when I started to approach shrinking fibroids naturally, it wasn't an easy journey. It wasn't like, okay, I automatically knew how to put my natural fibroid freedom plan together. No, I learned through trial and error. I learned by reading on some things and trying them and making the symptoms worse. You know, I learned, I mentioned earlier how the fibroids got bigger. And that was a minute where I was like, felt like I had been punched in the stomach, and I had been working for like 12 months, darn near 12 months. And I'm thinking I had a handle on it. And then all of a sudden, I can't bend over. You mean it's gotten bigger? You know, I've had a lot of situations where I could have given up and said, this doesn't work. But I stuck to it, and I committed to going natural. And I knew that the universe, the Most High, the Creator, my higher self, whatever you want to call it, would help me figure it out, because there's always a way. There's always a way. You just have to believe it and take action to figure out what that is. And it may not be easy, but it will get easier. You just have to be patient with yourself. Know that there's a spiritual element. Give attention to the non-physical aspects of yourself, your psyche, and your emotion. Support that as well. And it's just as important to add discipline and self-care with those areas as it is with the diet that we've been talking about, with a herbal protocol via herbs and supplements, with exercising. Excuse me. All of these things are going to work collectively, that are going to make up this pie that I like to call the fibroid freedom pie. Everyone's pie is a whole pie, but every slice in everybody's pie may not be made of the same ingredients. And some people's slices that reflect the space or the area of the pie that relate to diet may be bigger or smaller than the next woman's, because her issues for what's causing estrogen dominance and hormones to be out of balance are more caused by the fact that she's not being authentic. She's not really giving attention to emotional areas in her life where she's being drained or being too giving, or, you know, just not in alignment. Everybody's pie will look different. So there's always a way. It's just figuring it out, knowing that there is an option for you, and figuring out what that is. So that's what this platform, and that's why I'm here. So if anybody wants to reach out to me, we can talk for 15 minutes for free, roughly, because we always go over. And we can talk about whether we'd be a good fit to work together. And I can help you set up a fibroid freedom action plan. We can do 1 hour. We can do 90 days. I'm also planning a group coaching in the spring. So that's something we can definitely discuss, where I may thinking about 4 Saturdays in the spring, 4 consecutive Saturdays where I give all the knowledge on the pillars of fibroid freedom, my fundamentals, including herbs, including everything we talked about, how to dominate estrogen dominance, your digestive system, food, diet, going down the list, and doing it in a group setting. That way it'll be a little bit more cost effective. If anybody's interested, send me an email. But I hope this was a helpful room for y'all. I want to thank everybody who contributed. And again, before I close it out, does anybody have anything else they'd like to contribute? And I'm also on YouTube. So if anybody on YouTube has a question, let me know. All right. Okay, well, again, y'all are beautiful. Remember that you have everything you need. I can help you figure it out, or you will be revealed to you. Just ask and do that work. Connect with your inner self. Connect spiritually, and ask for that to be revealed, and it will be revealed. But there's always a way. I'm sending everybody here love and support and fibroid release. And y'all enjoy the rest of your Womb Wellness Wednesday. I will talk to y'all soon. Peace, goddesses. YouTube, thank y'all for rocking with me. It was kind of weird going back and forth, but I want to thank everybody that was on here today. Did anybody on YouTube have any questions before I close this broadcast? If y'all have any questions about something you'd like me to talk about on the next live stream on YouTube alone, let me know and I'll be happy to do that. But I want to thank you for joining me, and I'm sending you as well peace and fibroid release and harmony. All right. Peace and love.